It looks like it's gotten into a common practice for them just to go random starter rather than picking a specific stage. So we can definitely roll with this. We can definitely rock this out. So everything is all set for them. And for everybody else who is watching, I will let you know that there is potential for a prize pool to be going on for this. If you'd like to donate, give these competitors a little bit of money for their hard-earned work. I know they would appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Community overall would appreciate it greatly. Art looks like they are going to be playing Springman as well. I feel like I recall seeing Art utilize Mechanica, so this could be a wise pick specifically to contend with the Seiki, which for many players is not something you can contend with very effectively. The Seiki is kind of like a rocket-shaped arm, plays kind of similarly to the gloves, but it has like a wide curve angle when it travels out, unlike these gloves that are coming out right now. And it has an incredibly high amount of homing ability. On top of that, if it reaches its target, it will explode, and that explosion can have an additional effect that can paralyze certain players, leading to some really strong and devastating combos. We do have an explosive arm actually going into the field here. This one's a little bit different. Art has that blue round one over there. That is known as a nade. If that connects while charged, it will cause an explosion, which does a good burst of damage. Though everything else we've got is pretty classic glove meta, as is the way of arms here. There's very few players who want to stray away from this because by and far, gloves have been the best tool for this game since it first came out. And there's been a couple of nerfs here and there, but they're just so clean at boxing, so clean at just safe, consistent movement and exchanges, much like what we just saw there. That, like, it's so hard to want to utilize other weapons because it is so clean and easy just to be able to keep your movement, keep a steady momentum, and be able to apply all of this damage without, like, putting yourself in risk of being vulnerable. Beamer is definitely one of the more proficient boxers, and boxing is generally like this neutral state where both players are just throwing out a barrage of punches, just looking to overwhelm the other and catch like any movement quirks, any mistakes, misplays, and just play it safe and smart. Beamer is going to be able to pretty cleanly outbox Art and is going to be able to claim the first point in this best of 5. So for newer viewers, or people who might be newer to ARMS, you might be wondering a little bit more about like the general view of what ARMS is as a competitive game. ARMS is a 3D fighter with a heavy focus on neutral and a significant step back away from combo game. Remove plus via, remove mod. What? So generally, like, it's all about moving around in the field. It's about winning these neutral trades and capitalizing on pressure tactics when you're advantaged or disadvantaged and how you're supposed to play about that. All random starters except Mazo. Alright. So, we got that one. That one. Got this one. This one. Alright. Something important to note too, unlike a lot of other fighting games, This game... Okay, I think they want VIA on as well. So we'll turn that on. Okay, there we go. We got it sorted. The wording was a little difficult, but we managed to make it work. So yeah, it's a 3D environment fighting game focused on neutral, advantage, and disadvantage. All players are equipped with 3 different weapons known as arms. You can see their equipment coming in on the left and right as the screen is moving over. And they have the ability to choose between those 3 options, and they can equip one on their left, one on their right. When you walk into the field, you'll notice that it is primarily a ranged game, as both players will be focusing on throwing out these extendable projectile arms to try to punch each other out. And from there, it's all about spacing, movement, planning things out, utilizing your character's abilities. In this case, Beamer is playing a character known as Springman, who, when you successfully dash, you can utilize a shockwave barrier that can deflect various attacks for free, which can give you a very impressive advantage. And Armut, who is currently playing Dr. Quill, who just floats in the air, and on top of that, she also is able to, if you complete a charge, you can get a 3rd arm on either your left or right. It's not consistent, it's pretty random, and then you can also use that arm for an additional attack. On top of that, Dr. Quill can turn invisible, as you see there, making her harder to see for her opponents. And she also gets to utilize that invisibility as she recovers. The last thing that we can see in these 2 characters, Springman has an Enrage at about 25% health that allows him to permanently charge his arms. You might be asking, what is the difference between a charged and uncharged arm? You can tell kind of just by the state of how the arm looks. If it looks more dangerous, that means it's charged. Charged arms have special elemental effects that will influence either increased damage, they will cause a status ailment on the opponent. They do a lot of things. The important ones right now, we've got Fire, which does more damage and reduces rush gain, and we've got one that is the Explosive Nade, which is an explosive. More damage and also splash damage. As these 2 players are fighting and exchanging, you'll notice these white triangles by their health bars, and that is slowly building up until it turns a flashing yellow. When it is yellow, that means they have their super ready, which is known as a rush in this game. When utilized, it enables you to do a much stronger or more furious attack, usually much more effective at pressuring and catching your opponent out. You also get a nice deflect on top of that. Beam going to be able to take another point and is currently 2-0 in his favor. And so this game overall, like, of course, like, you can punch with your left, you can punch with your right, you can aim both kind of independently. You can play this with either motion or controller, and that influences how you kind of fight and play. And both work pretty well. Like, there's cases where I've seen motion players play more successfully. I've seen cases, I'm a controller player. People knew me as one of the best players in the community for a long while. You can make whatever you want work for this game. And it's got some nice options for controls. Lots of different characters, lots of different ways. I'll try to cover some things as we're going. Art is going to be switching over to Max Brass for this final stage, who plays very similarly to Springman, but on top of the deflect, he actually gets a nice buff up state, giving him armor, which means that uncharged attacks will do less damage and no longer knock back. And he's also got that armor on his Enrage at low health. Really powerful character, really good. Like, once you start getting tempo with Brass, there's a lot of cases where you just win. But because of his larger body and slower speed, especially against a character like Springman, it can be very difficult to get that tempo to be able to build that advantage. Nice grab will do the trick though, and Art currently now buffed up, looking to try to utilize this pressure to try to quickly plow Beamer down. And you could see he was afraid and could not approach Beamer, backed himself right into the Seiki, took a nice knockdown blast, and Beamer currently holding on to a very strong lead yet again. Rush ready for both players. Beamers could very definitely kill, and could actually end up walking Art down. That Seiki, if it gets a single charged explosion on him, will cause him to become a lot more vulnerable, cause him to become shocked, and that can be a clean hit, a clean grab that can quickly close things out. Fortunately for him, he was just at maximum range, and you saw he was able to slightly scoot back away out of range of Beamer's attacks. Unfortunately, could not last long enough, and that Toaster is going to take him down. This is match point. If Beamer is able to take Art down this last time, then it will be Beamer advancing ahead in the brackets, and Art will be knocked into the comeback brackets. Quick panicked rush will not be enough. Does manage to get the restand and block the rest of the damage, which very beneficial considering how impactful a Seiki's explosion can be. But even then, he still took a heavy amount of damage and lost the rush exchange, which means that Beamer has a huge advantage by 50% health right now, and Art has to try to find some way to turn the tides, turn this ground. He just really cannot find his way through. Beamer already set with another rush. Art now just getting theirs set up. If Beamer sees a chance to throw out the rush, can actually close this out without letting Art have a chance to even get their Enrage. Nice block there, will keep him alive. Tries to dodge out of the way, but the rush will connect for 245 damage. This might look a little dicey, and it probably is, but Max Brass is one of those characters that most shines at this low health because of how safe, how consistent it is, how easy just to throw out these furious punches. Unfortunately, it's not easy enough for Art, as they are going to get boxed down by Beamer, who will be advancing 3-0. Beamer, one of the longest standing members of this community, and probably, at least in this bracket, I would probably say the best player. It is going to be a challenge for anybody contending to stand a chance to light a candle to his. I don't see many people having much luck in contending. Maybe one person? We're going to potentially be seeing them in a future match. They might be duking it out pretty quickly. But only time will tell. For now, we are going to try once more with Panther and False King. Here's hoping that the internet issues that they had before have been repaired. These two will be able to have a proper match. The difficult thing about Seiki is it is a weapon that you do not see very often in the competitive game, but it is essential that you learn how to play it. Much like dealing with a Helix matchup, it's one of those things where if you do not learn how to play against it, then it is impossible to play against. But as somebody who once you learn how to play against that arm, it is significantly more possible and can actually be relatively easy to be able to take somebody out with a Seiki. You just have to figure out, you have to learn how things kind of work in that exchange. a lot of like what ARMS is, end of the day, it's actually, I honestly compare it to deck building or like Pokemon battles. While there is a much more active back and forth in terms of exchanging blows, punching each other down, a lot of what makes ARMS ARMS and what determines a lot of matches are the builds and character picks before the fight's even begun. There's a lot of cases where if you pick the right character and your opponent just doesn't know how to handle the matchup, you win. There's a lot of cases where you pick the right tools and they did not pick the correct equipment to respond to that equipment, to your loadout, then they lose. Because you just have a tool set that allows you to be able to beat them out. Of course, there is adapting, there is strategy adjustment. But end of the day, like, if you do not have the right tools, if you do not plan to contend people properly, that happens. I can see False King figuring out this matchup a little more effectively and turning the tides in his favor. Because he is a very competent player. And, like, I'd probably say he's within the top 3 of players in this group. But at the same time, like, if you don't have the right tools, if you don't have the matchup, you're going to lose. I am seeing that things are starting to go hyperspeed, though. Panther might have a little bit of witchcraft going on his side here as well. That might be making things a little more difficult. And we are definitely seeing that as, yeah, Panther is not able to respond to any of these mechanics. Normally, Twintel has an ability called Actressor that allows you to slow time down. These are coming out way too quick for you to be able to even slow down. I'm just gonna say, let's let those players take care of it off stream. Because there might be one too many people, and that might be causing the issue. So hopefully this is not a prolonged issue. If it will, there will probably have to be like management going forward. But that's neither here nor there. I'm here to talk about the stream, talk about the matches, talk about the competitors, and they're going to be sitting back and taking care of things elsewhere for now. With that, we do get to move on to our next competitors, which are going to be one of those players I was just talking about, Wumi, and he will be competing against Frosty. So, we've got two interesting players here. We've got Wumi, who is a very proficient Helix player. Believe pretty well known currently for being a glove Helix. Has a couple other tricks up their sleeve, but like, goes in with the buff, with the bubs, with the toasters, just looking to punch you down. Make sure that those Helix shenanigans are just working to their prime. Helix is a really tricky character. You're going to see some really interesting stuff with it, just like how Helix plays and fights. Frosty's going to be going in with Kid Cobra, as of course, Kid Cobra is hot. And Kid Cobra is a really solid character in this game. Very, like, versatile with most arms. Having one of the largest girth sizes means that he has the largest arms, largest attacks in this game, on top of his high mobility, which means that Frosty might be able to slip around Wumi's barrage of attacks and pressure, and we'll have to see if he's going to be able to take Wumi out, or if Frosty's just going to get overwhelmed by Helix's sheer pressure and aggression. Defensive tower aggression, mind you. And it looks like we're going to be starting on Sparring Ring. Community, especially at this point, is very focused on just like playing and having fun. It's a lot less concern about, because I remember back when I was competing, it was like These matches were sweaty. Like, you get into the online groups and it's like, nothing held back. Just like pure decimation and aggression and doom coming out from every angle and cove. And while these players are definitely throwing out everything they've got, that is Ninjara, not Helix. That is a very specific Ninjara that I know of. While these players are still throwing out everything they've got, it's definitely with a much more relaxed attitude and mindset. Wumi is going to be going in with Tri-Blast, Ice Dragon on Ninjara. Ninjara is a very mobile character, much like Kid Cobra, but just a lot more consistent movement, where it's a lot easier for Ninjara to kind of just move around. It doesn't rely as heavily on these big sweeping jumps, can just kind of move around quickly when and wherever he wants. Really solid character. One of the bigger detriments to him, though, is that small girth size. So his attacks are very tiny. It's easy for you to miss if you are not able to line up your shots well or keep your pressure going effectively. Nice rush call out here. We'll be able to inflict some sizable damage on Frosty. I'm assuming this is for the exact reason I'm guessing, which is Frosty's Kid Cobra is probably pretty good against Wumi's Helix, as Helix tends to struggle against Kid Cobra. A lot of tools, a lot of just like the way Kid Cobra can move allows him to have an easy time evading Helix's options and pressure. So changing things up, going in with the Ninjara instead is definitely a wise pick. And so far it is paying off pretty well for Wumi, who has successfully taken the first game with a very notable health lead. Frosty going to be able to start off the second round with a little more tempo, tries to go for a rush read, and manages to secure 350 damage plus a 20 juggle at the end. Another rush coming out from Wumi. Frosty tried to box it out, but ends up taking some chip damage. Tri-Blast wide range, making it rather ineffective as a proper follow-up tool, and that does mean that Frosty is going to be able to block most of the attack. Nice catch by Frosty will set Wumi to critical health. A single blow will be enough to close things out. Frosty still has about 400 health, has plenty of room to be able to breathe, just needs to keep focused and calm, and he's going to be able to line that shot up, balancing the score to 1 apiece. Putting away the Tri-Blast. I'm not sure if how great of a choice this is. That said, can't go wrong with the Roaster. While it's not going to be as widespread as the Tri-Blast is, it's a heavier arm, which means he's going to have a better chance of boxing attacks down. The rush is a lot more consistent too. And then instead of that explosion, you've just got a clean 140 damage every time you impact. Especially against a jumping character, it can be very beneficial. Nice catch with a second grab, and that is going to be Wumi claiming the third game and taking the first point. Solid game from Wumi. I can definitely see why he has swapped over to Ninjara here. It does help him out a lot in trying to contend against this Kid Cobra. That said, it doesn't look like Frosty is immediately out. Just gotta warm up to the matchup, figure out what exactly he's looking for to be able to beat Wumi, and we might be able to see a comeback going through. Looks like we're sticking with Sparring Ring. I do believe this is one of Frosty's preferred stages, somewhere that he's generally pretty content to go to. And can't blame him. It's a nice, simple square. There's not too much room for being defensive. You kind of have to go on the offense. So, no pillars, nothing to hide behind. And you just get your clean fight. Nice opening from Wumi. Will quickly dive in with a welcoming grab. Gets a nice 150 damage to start things off in their advantage. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to see, yeah, that Roaster is giving Frosty a lot more trouble than it's worth for him. He's struggling to keep up against these two medium weight arms. They're both relatively fast too, so a lot of Frosty's attacks just are not coming out quick enough to be able to contend with these attacks. It's allowing Lumi to just kind of run clean. Again, gloves are very much the meta. Lumi slaps on the glove. All of a sudden, he's able to box just that much more effectively, even with only one. There's a reason why it is the meta pick to pick that arm. Nice block there. He's going to be able to safely guard this. And that shield will not be broken from that amount of pressure damage. Frosty still has himself a chance to keep things going. He needs to get this rush to stick, though. Good parry there. If he got hit by that Roaster, he probably would have fell. So he just needs to make sure he doesn't get hit again by the dragon. And unfortunately, that will be a knockout. Wumi is currently looking for a second point in this best of 5. Frosty does have rush advantage and can capitalize on it if he's quick enough. That said, he's got 2 mono rush arms, which means that it's a little tricky to line up these shots if he's not making the right calls or the right reads. Oh, ends up drawing one of his arms back. Stalls him for maybe a moment, but he does manage to get 360. Tries to dodge out of the way, but he's going to eat 320 damage for that landing. Landing like can be a huge doom for any player here, because that is just that little window of time where you can't really punch, you can't really block, you've got to wait for that. And so much of this game involves players jumping around, because aside from that landing leg, it is one of the safest and most effective ways to fight. So it's all about like learning how to move and jump in a way that prevents you from being left exposed. Nice air dodge there is going to allow Wumi to take Frosty out. Frosty really close to being able to claim a point there, but Wumi just stayed on top of things, now holding a 2-0 lead. I'm suspecting we'll be sticking with Sparring Ring. Looks like no bans. I'm suspecting we're going to be going straight back to Sparring Ring. Frosty prides himself in playing a default loadout Kid Cobra. Not really interested in changing things up at all, so we're not going to see any loadout changes from him. We might see that from some players down the road, but these people are pretty content to stick to their guns. To explain what default Kid Cobra is, there's 2 different kind of builds for arms. There's custom, or there's default, which is the loadout that a character starts with when you boot up the game. For Kid Cobra, it is Slamamander, Hydra, and Coolerang. And those are the 3 arms that Frosty prefers to rock with. And then custom would be anything beyond. So Wumi right now is playing a custom loadout, as Ninjara normally has a buff, Tri-Blast, and Chakram equipped. As you can see, Wumi's got a Roaster and Ice Dragon, which means he's got a pretty different toolkit than what a Ninjara would initially start with. Frosty holding onto a solid lead here right now, but it can very quickly turn away. He's going to continue getting chipped out, stabbed down by these attacks. Wumi could actually close this out with a rush, and it looks like he's going to go for it. That's another point for Wumi, and it will be match point conditions, meaning that if we get one more knockout on Frosty, Wumi will be advancing to face off against Beam Blaster. Starting things off, we do get some freezy ice games. Ice arms are very dangerous in the competitive side of arms, because if you get hit by a charged ice arm, be it the Ice Dragon that Wumi has or the ice arm that, or the Ice Coolerang that Frosty has, that prevents you from being able to dash or charge your arms or jump. So you get pretty limited in your movement options, which means you have punch, shield, or stand still and die. And it is actually possible to chain ice effects as the duration for that freeze. I believe it's either... It feels like 3 to 5 seconds. I can't remember the exact numbers. It's been quite a while since I've last properly played this game or kept track of a lot of that data. But it lasts for long enough that you can generally mess with people pretty good if you're running ice arms. Frosty going to try to box things out again. Unfortunately, double roaster is just too much pressure, and we see Glove Meta coming in strong once again as Lumi is just throwing punch after punch, and Frosty is having to do everything at his disposal just to dodge out of the way of these relentless attacks. Manages to get 60 damage at the very end. That's not necessarily that much. Tries to dodge, but he's going to leap right into it. And a finishing touch will close the curtains for Frosty. And Lumi will be advancing 3-0. And we're going to see this pretty consistently. There's a few people, Beamer being an exception, where you'll be able to like perform well with things other than gloves. But generally, most players, when they're looking to win, they're going to bring out gloves. They're the most consistent. They're the most steady. You're just safe. It's too easy to move. It's too easy to fight back. It's too easy to pressure. There's really no reason to not play gloves in this game. Like, certain things can work better in some situations, but if you are looking to do your absolute best, you want to go gloves. Clapback? Nah. I mean, if you play brass, yeah. But a lot of characters actually have a pretty easy time working around clapback even still. Like, here's the strategy if you want to be a clapback. They already have one arm out, which means they can only have one arm to fight you. You rush grind. You rush grind, you build up rush faster than them because they're using a clapback. You can throw one glove at the shield. If it reflects, you punch it with the other glove. If they try to punch you, you punch that down as well. Get your rush ready. Make sure it's out before they have their rush. You rush them. If they've got their rush ready, bait out their rush. Or like put them in a position where it's like their clapback is out and you just have an easy time powering through. They try to counter with their rush. Their clapback gets cancelled. They just got rushed. Gloves are so safe that the hard counters to them don't work when you know what you're doing with gloves. Like, if you think there's a counter to gloves, you don't know gloves. You can do stuff, and it can sometimes work, but trust me, this is the gloves game. You got other things there, and they look pretty, they look fun, they're great tools, I strongly recommend them. But you're just not gonna be holding up too well if you don't got a glove on your side. Looks like these two are going to be going in random starters, which means that we can get things going right away with Woomy versus Beam Blaster in the winter semifinals. So let's hop right into it. Woomy is going to be switching over to the Helix that we know oh so well. Has a Glusher on the side as a heavyweight to try to counteract these gloves. We'll have to see how well that goes. Tower, nade, clapback, popper, cobra? No, it can work, but that just means you don't know the matchup. Beamer starting to turn things around, getting some really effective plays here. Got a lot of damage off of a few quick seconds. like, that's a huge thing, too. Is that, like, the other arms, the other loadouts that would be considered, like, meta counters, they're only considered that because they're good at punishing players who are still figuring out gloves. And they have too many open windows otherwise, but they work because so many people have exclusively glove loadouts or only know how to play gloves. And even then, they don't know how to play gloves well enough. So then you can use the clapback popper and you can make it work. Beamer currently holding onto a light lead and is going to be able to secure the first point as Woomy dives into one final toaster hit. Put that glove away, try and Tri-Blast, focusing entirely on movement and evasion to get around Beamer's attacks. So far though, not having too much luck as Beamer just doing what gloves do, safely boxing out his opponents. And just kind of pressuring Woomy in such a way that they're just struggling to find a way in to get any damage. I think Woomy's trying to look for like a rush window. That's going to be a clean whiff though, and Beamer cleanly capitalizes as that just leaves Woomy stuck staggering in the wind. Finally gets that charge to Tri-Blast, looking to try to utilize this pressure, but we've got DNA Lab just allowing Beamer to safely hide back, push, create some distance, and now he's got that room that he's looking for yet again. But Woomy determined to make sure that he does not get that space, getting as close as he can, but that does mean that it's just even easier for the gloves to come out swinging, quickly blow him down, and Beamer's going to be able to take another point. Beamer just knows what he's doing too well. He's too experienced in playing safe, playing the box, being able to block people down. And he's just going to make sure that Woomy's going to be having as much of a difficult time as possible. I'm suspecting that Woomy's probably going to feel pressure to have to bring out gloves themselves. We might be seeing some of these picks because Woomy is aware that Beamer generally is going to win those boxing matches. But yeah, generally, like, you can have a nice arm to complement. Okay, Via is going to be added. Boop. There we go. But, like, gotta be honest, if you want a shot at fighting gloves, you gotta go gloves. We've got Bubs and Slamamander on the side now. I feel like we're gonna go double Tri-Blast. I can see this being an interesting pick. If Woomy gets the advantage here, this can completely shut down Beamer, as those Tri-Blasts just have so much range, so much coverage that 3-man's deflect will just not be enough. But that's the trick. Woomy's gotta get the advantage. And if Beamer is playing a steady, focused game, it is going to be impeccably hard for Woomy to really get that advantage and then keep it. Good start, good bit of damage going in on both ends though. Beamer is going to be the first ready with Rush. Woomy quickly readying up one of his own. And these Tri-Blasts are definitely doing some justice, doing some good damage. The Toasters coming in at them are doing just as much as every single hit is a clean 130 damage. They are one of the fastest and safest arms in this game, making them an excellent tool for boxing, counter-boxing, evasive, and defensive plays, along with that deflect acting as an additional barrier. A nice 300 damage does set Beamer to enrage, which means that now he's got that perma charge, and it's going to be even safer and more effective at punching Woomy down. Helix utilizing that movement effectively. You can see Helix goes into puddle form, can go into tower, can really play with camera mechanics and verticality, which means that it's just that much harder to hit. burst damage on the center platform of Mausoleum. I think I see what Wumi's going for here. It's just aware that as long as Wumi doesn't get hit here, there is nothing Blaster can do. Does he even try to build up any rush? I feel like a couple more swings would have been wise, but at the same time, it's only 1 or 2 swings to get Wumi back into rush ready state. Starting off the second round, Wumi doing their best, just flailing about like full active Helix here, just making sure that they stay as difficult as a target as possible, because the second they slow down is the second that Toaster comes in. Beamer looking for a chance to throw out that rush to get some serious damage, aware that if Wumi gets a nice advantage off of it though, that could be another 300 damage rush to eat, and that's something that really would not be enjoyed. Nice coverage from these 2 arms again. While it's a little more flawed if there's only one on its own, the spread shot from the 2 Tri-Blasts is definitely enough to be able to take someone out and catch them, where normally one might fail otherwise. Beamer finally gets his first hit, but Wumi only needs a single chip hit as Beamer is now sitting at Magic Pixel. Second hit in, Wumi has another rush. Wolverine Claws can actually break through Beamer's shield as well if he is not careful, but unfortunately he's not going to have much chance to even get to that scenario, as the Tri-Blast Barrage going to allow him to get taken down. Wumi will be walking away with a 1-1 balance. To see if we have any bans or if we're going to be sticking with these options. Oh, random with all. We'll leave it like it is. And we're going to be heading to Via Dulce. This can be a pretty interesting stage. It's a long, very cornery stage. There's not much back room once you start getting into the proper fight. If you get knocked down, you're pretty much always knocked into a corner. So it's all about, like, you get that 1 or 2 trades, and then you have all the field for yourself to work with, and then your opponent is forced back into that corner. Really just trying to play aggressively. You can actually play defensively on the stage, though. As you can see, there's those 2, like, kind of corner, like, right where the elevation goes down. If you're there and the opponent is on the other elevation change, you do actually get a bit of defensive range and spacing to be able to play back and forth. Beamer managing to successfully get a few really good trades here, setting up for a light health lead, still holding on to that rush, just looking for that perfect moment. Might be trying to utilize it as a defensive measure or counter against Wumi's. But that could very likely be detrimental, because it just means that if Wumi gets the advantage like we're seeing here, he's not going to be able to close things out nearly as well. Does go for the call here. Wumi tunneling his punches, will get rush punished. And he's going to be able to take it out. Utilizing Springman, getting those gloves to just line up well, playing nice and patient, and we are now full gloves. Wumi is going to just look to completely snuff out the gloves with a couple of their own going full bub. The safest, one of the safest gloves in this game, or the safest arms in general. They're huge, they're great at rolling things out, they come back faster than the toasters. And when charged up, especially on Helix Tower mode, they have some really good homing, which means that you can kind of just throw them out blindly without too worry about having to focus on aiming like some of these other arms, which makes them incredibly powerful as a Helix when Helix has them equipped. It was a Helix player that first popularized these gloves, and continues to be Helix players who utilize it the most. Beamer does have that Enrage. It means he's going to have a bit easier time contending with these buffs. as his arms now are a little bit faster, a little bit safer. And he's going to be able to start getting a couple of nice trades. If he finds a good read, he might be able to rush Woomy out. If he gets the rush here, that's actually going to be enough to take Woomy down. But he has to get the full trade. And Woomy's definitely waiting to be able to retract their arms, throw out a rush of their own. 3 seconds left on the clock. Woomy is just looking to time things out here. That is an incredibly bad call. And Beamer, now so desperate to be able to close that round out, will get timed down by Woomy, who now has a huge rush advantage. We are going to see a popper switch in. That widespread shotgun effect will be a little more effective at catching Helix's movements. But because of that wide body as well, it's also easier to box down. So it's going to be all about finding a way to get that popper to slip underneath Helix's attacks, catch those little movements just like that, those two that we saw just moments ago, and that third one as well. And if Beamer can continue to land these, gets a nice win confirm off of that charged popper. He only needs a couple more hits to be able to take Woomy out. One more hit is all he needs, and he will be claiming his next point. Nice punish and counter. Beamer will be holding on to that point lead. Okay, then it looks like we're keeping Scrap bad, so the same thing. This can be the last game if Beamer is able to close things out. Woomy is going to be sticking with the buffs. This is not a good stage for Helix. Granted, it means that your opponent's always in range, so you don't have to worry about them zoning you out and just like waiting when they are in advantage. But it does mean that you literally just have nowhere to run against your opponent. And Helix is one of those characters that really needs to have those chances to run more often than not because of just like how dangerous pressure can really be for them. Managed to have Beamer backed up into a corner. Needs to keep Beamer backed up against a wall because as soon as Beamer like starts to properly gain neutral ground again, that is going to be when Beamer starts to like really shine. Just needs one more hit, but he's gonna taste a charged popper first. Beamer starts to get a little bit more ground, and a trade will secure Woomy the point. Nice opening. Will quickly try to follow up with the rush, but just barely out of range. Will not be able to get any kind of damage, which means Woomy has a nice chance to turn the tides, continue to build this momentum, and increase this lead ever so much more. Gets a nice 265, and these arms come out so quickly too that it's just that much faster to build rush. While you build rush faster by hitting your opponent, you also just generate a little bit, a small portion of rush every time you get hit or you land a hit. So, or every time you like get hit, block a hit, or like you just throw a hit. So it's like you are rewarded for in every which way imaginable to generate rush. And one of the most efficient ways is just throwing out 50 punches in a row because it just builds so much at once that it makes it really easy for you to get another rush ready and then set yourself up to close things out. Oh, two very nice poppers. The first one just narrowly whiffing. The second one will make a proper impact. We are on match point if Woomy cannot take Beamer out here. Starts with a clean popper, forcing Woomy back against the wall. Blaster trying to look for a chance to get his rush. But unfortunately will not be able to get an opportunity before Woomies is ready as well. So now Beamer is looking for an opportunity, some kind of win confirm off of the popper to be able to put Woomy into the wall, into a corner, and Woomy is holding onto their rush specifically to make sure that Beamer just cannot throw his out wildly. We've got the Enrage. Beamer now at KO range from any rush. That toaster will not be enough to be able to close. The rush is not safe enough, and Beamer going to be able to safely dodge out of the way. Just chooses to block, and now at a single hit will be taken down. Woomy balancing the score to 2 apiece. And it can be anybody's game now, especially if we are sticking with all stages. Because it can be very likely a stage that determines who is advancing and who is going back. Into the lower bracket. The players are set, and we're going to be heading straight back to Sparring Ring. Starting things off. Beamer going to be able to get a couple of quick blows, not burning Woomy down to 50% health. Just playing a nice patient game. Threw out a few too many punches at once in that scenario. And now he's forced back against the wall, just trying to find a way through, a way in again. Oh yeah, don't take care of it. That's not my job anymore. I need to remember that. We can balance things out if they find a nice rush opportunity, but that can leave a nice window for Beamer to be able to close things out with their rush. So he's got to be really careful. Nice catch with the grab. It's just a little bit more damage to have the rush be a viable kill option. Beamer is just looking to try to play things safe. Just a barrage of buffs coming in everywhere. We've got the rush opportunity here. Woomy is looking for it now. A single hit will be enough to take Beamer down. And you can see Woomy is like fishing for it as he's just throwing out all of these punches. Popper's not going to be able to box in the scenario, and we're going to see a punished move as Beamer just gets caught out. And now it is match point for Woomy. Beamer going to make an interesting pick here. Switches the Popper to the other side, I believe, to just try to mix things up for Woomy. Make sure that timing is a little bit more difficult. Nice catch there. Does end up winning the trade. Only gets 130 damage, which isn't too much, but that little bit is still going to be, might be what's needed to be able to take this point. Another charged Popper, and Woomy again quickly knocked to 50% health. Did manage to turn things around the last time in this scenario, but we'll have to see how things roll out here. Beamer does have the rush ready once again, and Woomy cannot take any hits. Charged Popper will allow Beamer to set up the score to be the final definite match point. Whoever takes this will be advancing. Interesting call to switch back to the double Tri-Blast here, looking to try to snuff Beamer out. This does mean that it's going to be even easier for Beamer to punch down things with the Toaster and Poppers. But it also means that Woomy, if they get the advantage, will be able to secure this a lot more effectively. Good pressure coming in, quick damage. Quickly building up another rush as well. within those 10-15 seconds, we already see Wumi ready to press that rush button once more, and is likely going to just be gunning it out because of just how well those trades went. Pushing Beamer back against the corner. I can see a shield break coming. I can smell it happening. If Wumi can just continue to keep Beamer backed up. Another charge pop-up will push Wumi into the corner though, losing that aggression, losing that potential, and it's starting to turn into Beamer's game. A nice Tri-Blast will push him back. He'll get that little bit of room that Wumi really needs, as it is definitely that wide range, that distance that can make the determination. That's going to be Magic Pixel. You're going to see him quickly set up to stall out. Beamer still holding on to this rush. He needs to do something that isn't a confirm. There, he does get that confirm finally, though. I don't know if that's enough. Both players are looking on a single frame of health, and it's going to be a draw. Which means that wasn't the match point. We got one more coming in. Wumi is going to have rush advantage. But that doesn't necessarily mean too much if you're not able to utilize it, if you're not able to build up that rush in time after Beamer is able to get 2 charged poppers. Couple of Tri-Blasts will turn things back to even. Now Beamer is ready with a rush of his own. While I do applaud Beamer for holding onto the rush for those right moments, he misses. Like, it means that he only gets 1 rush a match, which, while he can make it count, and it's a lot more rewarding and valued because of that, there is the problem that he is then in a position where if Wumi is just, like, suffocating him, he doesn't have any place. Because the one option he has, which is the rush, he's not utilizing. So he's just in a position where Wumi just continues to get to shut him down, aware that, like, Beamer's only going for the safest option of a rush, which means it's just so easy to just continue to wall, continue to just throw out Flurry and Disaster. Like, there's so many chances I'm seeing where, like, Beamer could throw out a rush, build some ground, some contention, and be able to take this win, but because he's waiting, because he held onto that rush for so long, he's gonna lose. And on top of the lesson about gloves being one of the best things in this game, it doesn't mean as much if you're not using your rush. It's good to be safe, it's good to plan things out and make sure you're making the right calls. But also, if you're just not using your rush, if you're not using your win button, you're probably going to lose. I am going to take a quick break here. We will be back in just a moment, as we're just waiting for some things to get sorted out before we can resume with the rest of the matches. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna head to the washroom, and I will see you all in just a moment. Hello everybody and welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed this moment of respite. They might be still sorting out some details. We'll catch up and see. And yeah, it looks like they are still managing that dispute. So I'm gonna see if we can do this. And if not, that is okay. We can just kind of chill and we can wait. Oh, I forgot to put the BRB away. There we go. My secret is revealed. Let's reset our score. Hit TBD. I guess it would be quarterfinals. No, this is just like round X. Can I put X here? Yes, I can. Nice. Comeback round. Yeah, comeback pools. Alright, so it looks like we do have things sorted out. But yeah, that's something that's important for a lot of, like, that determines a lot of matches is, like, greed. And, like, utilizing your specials. Like, in any game, meter is, of course, important. Learning how to utilize your meter well and in the right moments can very often make or break a match. And there's so many cases still to this day with this game where people don't, like, it very often is pressure. It's like fear. You're scared of what the other can do. So you hold on and you're waiting for these perfect moments. But it's very often that fear that can prevent you from properly being able to contend. And if you can't contend or you're letting yourself get overwhelmed by fear, then you're gonna die. If you die, you lose. Alright, we're gonna get people coming in here. And we'll see how these comeback players are going to be able to contend against each other. Just a reminder for anybody who might be interested, wanting to make a donation or two to help give the players maybe some money to work with for this competition. There is a Matcherino link. Any penny would be greatly appreciated for these people who have put so much time and effort into this game, put all of this energy into competing and making it as far as they could. It's the result of a lot of tournaments and a lot of competition, competing and performing well. And having a little bit of a payoff would be greatly appreciated. Just waiting for them to get things properly set up, and then we should be set to continue. There we go. See if they want any stage preference, or if we're starting with random starters or starting with sparring ring, because I'm pretty sure Frosty would want to just go to sparring ring. Alright, they are going to be going with the standard stage striking format, which means we're actually going to be picking a stage. And it looks like Mausoleum is the pick to go, as Art does not want sparring to be an option. Once these two players are ready, we can continue with the Invitational. Art will be going in once more with Dr. Coil. Frosty will be running in once again with Kid Cobra. We've got Nade, Toaster, and Phoenix. Phoenix could be a nice pick for working around catching Kid Cobra's movements, but you really just can't beat gloves, especially on Dr. Coil. You really just cannot beat gloves in this game. Starting things off, it's going to be a quick trade. Art will be able to land the next blow though. Gets a little bit of control, a little bit more contention. We do see a freeze and knockback off of it, giving Frosty a little bit ground as well. Coolering is a very solid choice against Dr. Coil, especially if they haven't mastered the art of dodging it completely, which, surprise, surprise, is actually possible for Dr. Coils. If you are not perfect with your plays against a lot of Coils out there, they can actually pretty safely with their movement just evade like the vast majority of your attacks just because of the way she moves and the fact that she floats and levitates. Art currently holding on to a 25% health lead. Frosty actually could turn this around with a couple of nice catches. That freeze could turn into a knockback, but chooses to go for the grab, and Art is going to capitalize on that, mashing that rush button. Nice catch from Frosty. Will be able to secure a nice 170 damage. The second round is going much more in his favor. Another nice catch with the grab. All he needs is any chip damage. Maybe try to build up a bit of rush too, just to make sure he's not in too much of a disadvantage in the next round. That's said, Art still has a very clear, like, very possible opportunity to turn this around and take this point, but the Cool Rain will say otherwise. This next round looking pretty good for Frosty as well, who's managed to secure some pretty good pressure. A grab is going to be blocked though with the rush deflect. Nice 330 damage. We'll be able to set Art back in even contention. But Frosty still has a rush ready, and if he can find a good moment to throw it out, that is not that moment. Could have been able to secure a much greater lead, but instead it's going to be Art who is able to build that ground. With that, I believe Frosty's going to be able to take the first point. Very nicely done. Excellent place. Let's see. And it looks like we're going to go to Buster next. Sorry, I'm just helping out with the leg dispute as well. I can't resist. Let's continue. Nice punish, push back there from Art. Starting to get a bit of good ground, some good tempo. Building up a little bit more damage. Just looking to try to keep things going. We do have rush KO range for both players, and it's going to be Frosty calling things out first as he dives in, smothers out Art's options. And while he's going to be going into the next round with a rush disadvantage, a lot of these players are very defensive with their rushes, and usually not too greedy, or usually not throwing them out too often, so there's a very real chance that Frosty's going to be able just to wait this out. And just throw out the like yet another rush ready before Art has a chance. Finally goes for it, but it's going to be a clean lock. Nice catch there. Frosty is looking for another good rush call here if he wants to be able to take it. Actually, a single cheeky Tri-Blast or Cool Rain can also surprise Art and gives another point to Frosty. Same bands. And it looks like we're going to be heading to DNA Lab this time. We've seen it a couple of times. It's a nice stage. I actually really like this one. It's nice and long. 6 tubes, each one with 3 health. Lots of defensive opportunities, lots of chances just to like hide in the back and plot and plan your strategies. If you're really looking to bide your time and you just have a lot of room even once all those tubes are broken to move freely, this can be a really good stage for Dr. Coyle. That said, it's also a pretty good stage for Kid Cobra. Big, leapy snake friend, giant arms. The big problem, like, stage can definitely help in some of these exchanges, but it definitely seems like the big problem that Art is struggling with here is just getting caught by Tri-Blast and Cool Rains. Big, girthy weapons are just working out too well. Starting this round out, Art is doing a pretty solid job pushing Frosty back against the wall, just making sure that they continue to contend the majority of the space, most of that room, holding that advantage as much as possible. Frosty tried to hide behind these tubes to gain just some ground, some room to work with, but as it currently stands, it is not too much to avail, as Art has been able to do a pretty solid job of just boxing Frosty out. Rush is now ready on both players. I don't see a reason to go for Rush on either side, and it's going to be a trade allowing Art to claim their points. Nice utilization of the stage's elevation changes, as well as Dr. Coyle's general movement does allow for a clean chance for Art, and a nice rush catching a good read, 280 damage. Frosty now has the rush advantage and is going to very likely look to press it. Yeah, a nice freeze. Frosty trying to look for another chance, and an excellent setup there for 380 damage. As you could see the fear in Art's eyes as this terrifying, powerful snake just rushes in, expecting a grab or another ice chain. Art throws out the punches, and Frosty was able just to wall everything out with the Cooler and Hydra. Art now ready with another rush. That will definitely set Art in the health lead, but mistimes the button, and that parry will not stop all of the Hydra bolts, meaning that it gets taken away, and now Frosty is chilling, ready with a rush and a nice KO. Frosty heading into this round with a significant advantage. You can see he's fishing for it. He's looking for his chance to rush. He's going to go and connect another excellent hit as he just slides underneath Art's attack. And now he's got a huge 50% health lead. Art now just about ready with a rush of their own. We'll have to see if they can manage to make the rush work as well as Frosty, but a huge advantage Frosty has over a lot of the players here is he is practiced in going for rushes. He knows how to set them up in safe and confident ways that don't require specific confirms like Hopper. It does manage to end up taking a lot of heavy damage off of Art's rush as well as they smother him out. He is looking for a chance to get in here as Art is quickly grinding up another rush. I think this is the chance he's looking for, and he gets it! Frosty will be walking away 3-0, knocking Art out of the brackets and keeping Frosty in the ring. Nicely played, nicely done. Good job from Frosty catching things out there. Best of luck moving forward. Yeah, that was some good plays from both players, but yeah, Frosty was just too cool to catch. Alright, it's been sorted out. Let's get... So that means we can get Loss and Falsa in. Yay! We have solved the mystery. Let's get Loss in here. I like Loss. I want to see some Helix. We would have seen his first game, but unfortunately, Pixel was not able to participate or make it. So Loss ended up advancing to the semifinals. I mean, we did already see a Helix, but I want to see more Helix. I would be lying if I didn't say I was biased towards, like, there are people that I personally like a lot here. I mean, I like False Kitten as well, but like, I love seeing a good Helix. They're so active. There's so much energy in how they move, and Loss is like a very interesting cut of a Helix. Hello, Hebby. Alright, let's see. Okay, so Mausoleum is banned. So we're doing stage striking. Happy to see you still active in ARMS. Yes, ARMS is cool. We like ARMS. I don't play arms much, but I still like arms. To beach. I hope you are doing well with your fun video gamings. Arms nice. Arms nice. So let us get to now that the fire has been put out. False King is putting away the Sparky. We've got a T-Bird. We've got the curves. Boomy is going to be going in with the classic trick, or no, Loss is going in with the classic trademark Loss Helix loadout, the double Blorb Helix. We all know, we all love it. Everybody's seen this Helix. Every time he plays, this is all he does. And why not? It's so great. This is the only thing he's played for years. He is so dedicated to this loadout, and he has figured out how to play this to such a devastating degree that if you are not prepared, you're gonna get stomped on by these bouncing blue balls. And this will be a quick warm-up, quick reminder on who False King is dealing with here, and we're gonna see two Thunderbirds come out, putting both gloves away. Nice shock into grab, gets a nice 250 damage. Loss is looking for a rush confirm. I can see these grabs. They're very cleanly set up to be a grab confirm opportunity, or a rush confirm opportunity, if False King responds to them improperly. Nice catch with this rush. Will quickly turn the tides, and just as quickly as False King was smothered out, we'll be able to take Lost out, bringing the score to 1 apiece on this first set. Nice grab punish. Lost still trying to find a way in to get this rush. T-Birds are such an effective combo or punish tool, as they'll just go right around those beefy, blorby bodies. And it's really helping False King in contention here. But it doesn't save you from the rush if you're not ready for it. Could have been 400 damage, but 200 is still something to work with. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. Nice grab here. Loss is starting to get a little bit of tempo grab back. Almost has False King at 50% health. Could not take that hit though. And it's going to be False King claiming the first point. That does speed things up at least. And we're going to be heading straight back to Buster Beach, as Lost will be looking for the rematch. I believe we will cover... Oh! Okay, I'll keep that in mind. That might have to be played off stream. That would be an unfortunate circumstance. But yeah, no. That's the fun of the world. Going into this next round, Lost wants to keep this going as much as possible. Stay on this winner's side. Shock gets grabbed. Thunderbirds are so effective because anytime a charged bird connects, you'll notice that the opponent gets completely disabled. Can't block, can't punch, can't move, or can barely move. And it leads into very clean and easy grab, rush, just a second hit sometimes if that's all you can go for. And while that shock window is a very short time, it's often enough to be able to get that damage once you get your reaction time up. And you can see like the payoff off of these shock confirms. Nice catch by Lost. Might still actually have a chance if he finds a rush. We believe in Lost. He can do it. T-Bird doesn't believe in him though. Need just a bit more energy. Just a bit more energy for Lost, and that would have been it. Volskane's going to be sticking with his guns. No reason to change otherwise. Like, Thunderbirds have been working well. Once he swaps, they just cancel out this Helix. While the Blorbs can be very good at walling people out and shutting them down, they're also pretty vulnerable if you whiff or your attack is blocked with being a heavy arm. Something to note about the weights in this game, there are 3 distinct weight categories. Well, technically 5. 2 of which are like extras that will go over in a moment. The first one is light. And that's stuff like the Tri-Blast, the Popper that we saw. Weight 2 is these Thunderbirds. It's the gloves that we see everywhere. Weight 3 would be these Blorbs. And the higher you are in weight priority, the easier it is for you to beat up the weight of other things. When you press the rush button, just like that, something that happens is the weight property of your arms actually goes up by 1. So if you press rush with light arms, they are now medium and contend with Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds will contend with Blorbs. But if a Blorb uses their rush, they become what is known as a super heavy, which is heavier than like heavy arms, and it's like the only thing that can compete with it is another rush heavy. With the exception of shields. Shields have a special property when they are just standstill that they are heavier than everything else and will always eat 1 strike. 1 to 2. With 3 charges before they get knocked down. When they go for rush, those shield arms turn into super heavies as well, which means that the Blorbs would all of a sudden be able to compete with them. Another grab attempt. I think Volskane is looking for a perfect here. Just needs that one final hit. Lost is going to deny though, as he gets 120 damage and some chip on the side. Start getting a little bit of tempo here, but I don't think he's going to be able to turn things around. And False agrees as it turns 2-0 in his favor. Alright, let's see where we go for this last one. Might be heading straight back to Buster Beach. No, we're going to be heading to Sparring Ring. For one more game. We'll see how this goes. If Volskane's able to take this, he will be advancing to the winner finals, and Volskane will be forced to face off against his brother. That's an idea. I need to add that to my list. Sorry, just one moment. It's important information. There, and I'll just remember to take a picture after this match. Alright, so starting things off. Volskane, again, doing a very impeccable job. These Thunderbirds are just doing their job. They are working to a T as Lost is getting knocked to 25% health. And I think that's enough to kill. Just 4 grab confirms off of Thunderbirds will be enough. Lost only capable of getting a single strike out. I don't think Lost has any intentions of changing things up. Neither does False King going through this. Sees a nice rush opportunity. We are going to get 335 damage. Quickly taking loss to 50% health. We've got a rush just waiting for an opportunity. It is so hard to catch Twintel though, and you know Loss is just looking for the perfect chance. Because these arms are so hard to properly connect. Nice overarching grab will allow them to beat out that grab punish attempt. False King quickly building up another rush. Almost gets another grab confirmed, but that T-Bird is just too fast. Successful grab will set them in the corner. Panic rush to try to just force False King back. Gain a little bit of neutral ground, and we do get another successful grab. Loss is definitely up their game since last I saw them. Like, these setups are just so much better. Unfortunately, it's not enough as this bird seems to be a hard counter for their playstyle, but that said, like, I feel like Lost can figure that out. Like, I feel, yeah, Lost just needs more time and practice to be able to, like, learn some of these matchups and figure out what exactly is going on. Let's get Woomy back in here, and we can have False King versus Woomy for the winter finals. This will continue to be a best of 5. There we are. Oh, right. Just gonna do this. Wait, that doesn't matter. We'll just press this button. That'll be enough. Alright, no bans. I think that's them. Random ban. What? What? Yes. Perfect. Alright, these two are ready to go. And Heavy, to answer your question, John did not participate in ARMS this season. I believe he's been busy with a lot of his own life and things going on. I think he's more interested in Smash Brothers these days. At least last time I checked. Or was that Sir? He's been enjoying life beyond, though. False King is going Helix. Woomy is going Kikobra. I feel like either the meta between these two have evolved like far beyond my comprehension, or they're having fun. Because these are completely off of the rails from what I'm used to and what I would expect from these players. I'm not gonna argue though. I'll commentate this nonetheless. I'll enjoy this regardless. And I'm sure these two will enjoy it. Starting things off. Woomy quickly bringing out a lead with a nice grab and solid chain of buffs. Another successful grab, putting False King back on his heels. Both players definitely look like they have some understanding of what they're doing with each of the characters. Lumi definitely very comfortable with this Kid Cobra. It's just giving False King a huge run for their money. And we are going to be seeing the Tri-Blast come out. False King is now being Woomy. False Woomy. It is the false Woomy. Out comes the rush. False King going to be able to successfully block it off, preventing some pretty heavy, substantial damage. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard to do. And this round is definitely shaping to be much more in False King's favor. Managing to just keep up the solid damage. Lots of effective pressure. Knocking Woomy to critical health. He's just looking for a few more blows. And we are, again, this is what Tri-Blast advantage is like. It's so suffocating. It's so effective at shutting people down. It's just so much spread and coverage. You really cannot fight back once they have that tempo. Especially if you do not have the practice and experience to really call it out. Nice rush, 300 damage will set False King in the health lead here. Woomy trying to make this popper work with the buff to just kind of power through these attacks. We are starting to see a little bit of tempo coming in here. That widespread coverage is punishing False King, who is just not mentally set up. I think that could have been a rush confirmed. So we're going to get a grab dart instead, and just any straight hit will be able to shut False King out. Yeah, there was very little False King could have done in that scenario. Once there's a popper against Helix, especially with Kid Cobra Girth, like, you saw how quick it was. You're confused who is who? That's fair. That's fair. Add counter picks, remove moss. Don't care if I lose with Helix. No excuse. Yeah, they're just playing. They're enjoying themselves. There's not a... The community ran out of sweat like a while ago. Like, sometimes we can build up like a little bit of sweat here and there and like get that heat going again. But like, you use up what little sweat you have, and then it's like, I'm playing in a niche community. I don't feel like I sweated enough. I did my sweats for the day. It's time for double boomerang Kid Cobra versus double boomerang double boomerang Lollipop. This is the true. This is no longer sweat. This is sweets, and you can tell that because we're at Viadulch, which is, you can see, like, look at the corners, the edges of the stage. They've got all these macarons, a bunch of confectionaries and sweets, all fantastically displayed and created, many of which by Lollipop, which is the character that we are seeing False King play as at this exact moment. Who is a clown and chef with many delicious treats at her disposal that she's made. Lollipop's actually a really interesting character in this game, and has surprisingly become a very popular pick, especially for newer players, because of her ability to move while in shield. She's also capable of bringing out the shield while in the air, which allows for some very interesting plays and tactics. False King does not want to play these games anymore after getting perfected. We see the Chilla Sparky come out as a contention tool. Nice freeze. We're trying to get an ice chain. We get the freeze a second time, which means what might have been 110 before, or might have just been like, what could have been 110 turned into 220. We got a grab on top of that 370 damage. Like, that one simple combo is a third of an opponent's health on top of that rush. Nice dodge from Woomy, just jumping right out of the way of that extra punch. And manages to throw out the rush. Unfortunately, False King was able to safely block it. Compliments to the impeccable power of gloves. You know you love them. False King currently holding onto a rusher, looking for a chance to get in. Probably at this point, not necessarily looking to crush, but considering that was two boomerangs coming in about to chop a head off, decided to go for the deflect just to kind of power through. And Woomy is going to respond by throwing on the buffs once more. Tries to bait out a rush attempt, but Woomy is going to patiently wait things out, and is now going to respond with two grabs of their own, and third one as well. That's going to be too defensive of a rush, and False King going to safely dive out of the way. This round starting off very well for Woomy. Gets another grab. Just, these attacks are so safe with the buffs that it's like, it's crazy how few people actually use this arm because of just how like clean and effective they are at just like walling their opponents out. And Woomy's going to be able to claim another point. Alright, let's see. Remove Via. Alright, and with that, we do have these two coming back in. False King has switched back to the Twin Tail. We'll have to see how well he is going to be able to do against Woomy's Kid Cobra, who's currently been doing a phenomenal job against his other characters. Back on his main, though, he might have a chance to be able to turn the tides back in his favor, sticking with his ever-classic duo against the Popper Boomerang loadout. It's just wind galore. Both of these arms can send an opponent soaring, knock them back against a wall, set up for some really devastating combos and confirms. I remember so early in when people were like, couldn't even imagine when confirms were a thing, and now it's like an everyday conversation for some people with how easy they can hit the win arm and then follow up with a rush. Solid 1-2, False King holding onto a very notable lead here. Excellent pressure and solid plays all around. Just needs to keep his patience, keep his cool. Nice block. Utilizing the pillar effectively just to eat that rush and make it just that much safer for him to avoid all of that chip damage that you would have sustained otherwise. I don't see False King wanting to utilize that rush. We've got a few seconds left on the clock. Woomy is now at Magic Pixel. Any single hit will be enough to take him out. Continue to play patiently, just shielding, throwing out these punches, and finally, False King will connect once more. heading into our next round. False King gets the freeze. He's gonna just go for the grab there as Lumi was trying to bait out some kind of punish and just successfully block it. But was not ready for the rush, or not ready for the grab. Throws out the rush, almost connects, but the pillar is going to save False King's life there and allows him just to fully block the attack. That is the magic of tubes, that is the wonder of pillars. 285 damage down, and Lumi is now at 25% health. False King gets another freeze. I'm suspecting one more hit will be enough. And that is going to be False King claiming his first point in this best of 5. Just a reminder for anybody who might be interested in supporting these competitors, maybe giving one of them a chance to walk away with a few dollars. It's a match-a-reno for this thing. And if it gets a little bit of money, then maybe some of those players get to walk away with a few nice dollars. They would appreciate that ever so greatly. Helps out the community, helps out the scene, helps keep things rolling forwards, and just like any bit of money is just going to be something that just helps people in the community feel a little more validated. They're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, but like that little boost of confidence, that little cheer on that's like their hard work and effort is paid off. It means a lot to a lot of these people. Why are they reading the rules? Oh. Only if Lumi asks. Okay. Looks like False King is going to be changing things up. We are going to be having a Tri-Blast equipped. I believe alongside, it's either going to be T-Bird, Sparky, Chilla, or it's going to be... Okay, yeah, it's swapping out the T-Bird. I had a feeling it would be the T-Bird swapped out. Alright, so we're going to go full Tri-Blast. If you didn't want the gloves meta, here's the alternative, Tri-Blast meta. Just widespread light arms flying about from all directions. Both players just gonna stab each other with little pellets. We literally got a bullet hell going on here. The only way to make it like more intense is if one of the Tri-Blasts was like a popper. Or like a Hydra. Or Biffler. Biffler would actually be a pretty interesting one. He's going to be the first to pull the trigger on their rush. He manages to get some solid damage. Or some light damage. But the most of it ended up getting blocked down. And False King trying to close in the distance to get their rush rolling. But Lumi is doing a very solid job of just snuffing them out. I think this is the chance. There it comes. Oh, it's gonna get blocked out though. Doesn't even get the shield break. Weakened shield means that it's Lumi's turn to go in for the kill. Trying to just eat away at that shield. Weaken it, make it easier to take False King out. But now it's Lumi who's because they're going on the offense. means that False King is able to safely like get a couple of cheeky pokes. Now at critical health, can only take an uncharged hit with the Tri-Blast or a single blast. Woomy has enough health to stand for a few things. We've got 5 seconds left on the clock. False King just gonna go for a grab here. I think there's time for one more grab. Or the Tri-Blast! And that's gonna force a draw. Are you kidding? An excellent catch in the last few seconds. As that one final Tri-Blast is just enough damage to force a reset on this round. Nice dodge. Gonna get an excellent punish here. 320 damage will set False King up in advantage. And now it's going to be Woomy who has to perform the chase as all these Tri-Blasts continue to fly out from both players' sides. Rush just, again, Rush coming in so quickly because of how fast these attacks come out. How easy it is just to barrage your opponent with a field of bombs. Like, it really does not feel like it takes too long until you've got another rush ready, and both are just looking for their chance to throw something out. With how close this is in this moment, can easily be determined by a rush. Oh, that is going to be a confirm. It would have been a confirm, but Woomy was not fast enough, and False King gonna just dash away. Gets a nice 280 damage. Another couple of solid hits. That actually does balance it out pretty closely. As both players are back to building rush. Again, neck to neck. Woomy has rush advantage. Might just go for something for the kill. I could actually see this working out okay. As feels the need to press the rush button. That is press the rush button. Oh, Woomy jumps instead of going for the shield. And that's going to allow False King to just barely eke out a win there. Woomy says enough of this. Buffs on. It is time to punch those Tri-Blasts out. The hard thing for Woomy in this scenario is if they do not set things up right, those Tri-Blasts can actually reach unblockable situations where Woomy just will not be able to evade them or punch them down. So it's very important that Woomy is as careful as possible while they punch everything. But as long as they're keeping up a good punch and they're keeping up that tempo well, then there's very little False King can do, as these buffs will just dominate every single Tri-Blast pellet that comes out. More hits. Woomy is just looking for that one final hit, and it's going to become a score of 1-1. I've been robbed for too long. Very nice. Alright, so this can be match point. If Woomy wins this one, they will be moving on to Grand Finals on the advantage side, and False King will be forced to pit themselves against... Let's see who. Oh, they'll be waiting for a bit, and it'll be either Beam or Frosty. As Frosty was just barely able to get that 5th game against loss. Woomy just looking to just flood False down, shut down any chance from pressing that rush button, as they're just too locked up in hit stun. And another rush is ready for Woomy. They're going to be looking to throw it out as soon as possible. False King is going to be looking to try to stop it, but unable to, as that landing leg forces them to take 265 damage. Now False King has to play this so patiently to be able to just turn this around, because any single hit will be his death. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, it might come down to a rush that False King can build up. But that's not going to be the answer, as he does get poked down one final time, and Woomy will be advancing. No more robbery. I forget how tiring it can be for talking this long. Alright, so it is time for us to get Frosty and Beam Blaster to hop back into the ring. For the comeback semi-finals, whoever is able to take this will be heading up to face off against False King, which can lead us then to the grand finals. So we just do that button. Hold on. We're just gonna do this. Where's Frosty? Show me Frosty on here. Wait, DJ. There it is. Alright, let's get things set up. Oh, not you. You. There we go. I'm a mastermind, so big-brained. It's unfathomable how massive my ego is. Well, I guess my ego. Do I have a big ego? I probably... Ooh, ice. I like the ice. It's cold, though. But it's like... What's the temperature right now? It's minus 30 Celsius. It's so... Why did I almost say it's hot out? I must be tired. I am tired. There we go. No bands. I think we're starting no bands. I actually know it's Frosty, so we're probably gonna go to sparring. Yeah, we're starting on sparring. I called it. I am smart. We're good to go. Let the game begin. It is gamer time. So we've seen these two. We've seen how they play. I'm interested to see how Frosty is going to be able to handle Beamer. See how Frosty's grown. Because generally, this is a very tough matchup for Frosty. Like, Beamer is just such an exceptional player. And he's so on top of, like, keeping up against Frosty's pressure. That usually it's really hard for Frosty to be able to contend. Except we do have a best of 5, so if there's any chance for Frosty to prove me otherwise, now is the chance for him. Starting things off, both players are relatively even with Frosty barely getting a lead here and there. Beamer going to be the first to ready up that rush though. Frosty right behind. I do know that Frosty's a little more aggressive with rushes and is more than willing to set up scenarios. Hopefully that creates some opportunities for him to be able to take Beamer out. Unless Beamer is just looking to make a read, make a punish against any of those attempts. Sees a nice chance. Isn't going to go for the rush there. I'm pretty sure that might have been an opportunity to set up for a kill. But we are going to have Beamer enraged, both now at pretty critical health. He is going to try to shut things down. Almost! So close! If anything, just like carried out a little bit more. That could have been that first point going to a surprising Frosty. But now both players are on final hit state, and anything can kill whoever manages to get the first blow, and it's gonna be a cool rain. Frosty will still carry out that first point with some good old Kid Cobra fantasticism. Beamer going to switch away from the Coolerang, putting on the Seiki, just looking for that high burst damage, that safe zoning, and that long-range counterplay. I think he was sticking with the Coolerang at first, anticipating Kid Cobra's like general movement plays, and also expecting a little more close-range fighting. But Frosty is playing generally pretty defensively, playing a mid-range duo. Unless he's looking for some kind of rush confirm, he doesn't get too close. That said, we do have a rush ready from both players. Beamer is definitely looking for some kind of shot to confirm off of Frosty. Nice calls with these short hops, and staying in the air means that it's so much harder for Beamer to be able to get any kind of setup to land a rush. That said, he's still taking a heavy amount of damage as the Seiki is just working so much better than that Coolerang at this mid to long range, and Frosty is just struggling to keep up against it. And just how it's always been with Beamer, as soon as Frosty gets too close, the toaster is ready as a quick answer to force Frosty back. That means that Beamer's going to be able to shut him down fairly cleanly. I kind of want to see the Slamamander come out, but I can definitely see Frosty making this Hydra Coolerang work. Beamer had a rush confirmed there, but just again, choosing to go for the safe and steady, holding on to the rush for something else. Potentially as an answer to Frosty's rush. That said, if Frosty sets this up well, it will be way too fast for Beamer to be able to respond, because that Hydra is fast, and that Coolerang just goes around everything if you've curved it well. Frosty is struggling to keep up here. I think he sees the chance. Beamer tried to go for a confirm off of that. I think he actually had a few chances to press rush there too, but he was just so focused on not dying. And it will pay off in the end though, as he's got that huge health lead and is just looking for one charged hit more, or just a couple uncharged, to be able to close out this first set, and claims the first point. Let's see, is there any money? There is unfortunately not. I will make one more reminder while we are setting up this next match. Scrap is banned. If you want to give the players a little bit of money, here's a Matcherino link. Go check it out. Contribute some cash to the prize pool. We've got 3 fantastic players here, all of which who would very greatly appreciate a few bucks if they were the winner. Any and all support would be greatly appreciated by all of these. Oh! Just managing some light things on the side. Did the Cooler Rain Rush go through Beamer? It might have. I did not see it myself, but it looks like they're also making note of that. So it is possible, if you saw it on the stream. Alright, we're going to go to Mausoleum. I think players are just not going to worry about it. Oh, Poyo. Yes, 8. Oh, oh, there's $1. There is a single dollar in the Maturino prize pool right now. Not 8, 1. Which is still very exciting. Beamer gets the freeze, gets a second one. That is going to, fortunately for Frosty, be a disarm. Oh, don't worry about beverages. I've been consuming beverages this entire time. I do appreciate that, though. Because my voice would be gone if I was not constantly drinking, like, slightly carbonated lemon 5 water. Frosty trying to find some ground, some tempo here. Beamer managing to keep up some pretty good tempo, a lot of effective pressure, and solid damage. Both players are looking for a rush window. I can see Beamer potentially going for something off of that shield. We do get the freeze. Isn't going to go for anything too intense. And Chet has found the entertainment buttons and is going absolutely wild with it. We're gonna be hearing a few 8s, I'm pretty sure, if we... Oh, there's a bois! I still love that skull so much. A few seconds left on the clock. Beamer is just focused on playing it patiently, playing it safe here, timing it out. Only a rush could really do it for Frosty, and he's not willing to go for that in this situation. So it is going to be Beamer's point here. Nice grab, breaks that center platform. Excellent dodge on top of that. That looked like it would have been safe for Beamer to be able to roll, but no bueno there as Frosty just cleanly jumps to the side. Manages to land a solid Coolerang. We've got a lot of time on the clock. It can very easily turn to Beamer's side as long as he's playing a safe and defensive style. Frosty is trying to set up some kind of rush confirm, some intense damage. Oh my! Why didn't an alert pop up? Did an alert pop up? Why didn't it happen? Did it happen? I'll look into that after this. Out comes the rush, and Frosty is going to be able to get the KO. Nice clean connection. But that means that we now have a huge open field in the middle. It's a lot harder to be able to approach with that out. Beamer going to be choosing to stick with the Coolerang here. We'll have to see if that really works out or if it's going to be something that Frosty can contend against. Nice rush as he catches Frosty's landing. And manages to hold on to some good pressure as a result. Frosty trying to quickly build up another rush. Nice patient plays can potentially turn this back, but a toaster is just too tried and true, too steady. And that grab is going to be a nice 150, setting him into critical. Keeping up this steady pressure, keeping up this tempo, looking for that second point. Oh, that's why. I forgot that's why. So if we go back to this.
Yeah, baby.
I do want to know, Frosty's doing a really solid job against Beamer. Right, I forgot. Alerts do not happen on that specific screen. Why is Stream Elements not working now? There we go. So now, no. I can hit... Do I have them off? Oh, I do have it off. There. Here you go. Thank you for the subscription. Much thank. Okay, let's see. Where are we going next? Buster Beach. Alright, resuming things once again. We're going to be heading to Buster Beach. This is a much more aggressive stage. If Frosty can get Beamer locked into a corner, I can actually see some really scary stuff coming in. But he's got to be able to get that pressure rolling in to get that to work. First hit is going to be pretty solid. But that grab is just gonna leave him open to another toaster. That's just so much damage whenever those things connect. Frosty definitely needs to be keeping aware, being conscious and like making sure that not only is he getting these safe plays, but he needs to be able to charge it and get like these proper hits on top of that. And he's just unfortunately not able to keep up this tempo. You can tell he's feeling a little bit of tension too as he's focusing too much on playing defensively. Beamer is caught on that he cannot handle this pressure, cannot handle the spacing, and he gets smothered out.
Oh, yeah.
the second round. Beamer playing a defensive game. We are on match point. If Beamer is able to take Frosty out here, he will be able to advance onward and get to challenge False King for a shot at a rematch with Woomy, who's currently residing as the champion. You know Beam wants that opportunity. I think, has Woomy taken all of these people? Woomy has taken out all of top 4 right now. Every single one of these people want a rematch with Woomy. They have all fought their way back for another chance and are forced to duke it out amongst each others. Frosty trying to just find that chance. Can't escape the rush, and that will close it out. Of the 3 Woomy bested, Frosty will be the first to fall. And it will be Beamer advancing to face off against False King. Actually, that would be kind of funny. So, Woomy first beat Frosty, who is the first of those 3 to get knocked out. Next, if False King beats Beamer, then Beamer is the second to get knocked out by Woomy, and is the second to get knocked out of the tournament. And then False King is the third to get beaten by Woomy, and would be the last. That would be funny. That would be funny. I like that. Oh dear. I guess the money came in. It looks like the prize pool is now $251. I do believe that I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's just at the main page. Shout out to False King for adding that money in. And so now the top players, the top 3, are going to be getting some feisty money, some tasty currency. Season 8 official highest prize pot so far. Let's go. If anybody wants to see that prize pot get bigger within the last few, we're actually quickly approaching the end here. If you want to see that prize pool get just a little bit higher, make that record a little bit bigger, just go over and contribute. These players would all be very appreciative of it and very, very thankful. Give them a few bucks if you can. Make it a Christmas miracle. Miracle. Make it a Christmas miracle. A link is in chat for those who would like to support this invitational. Random starter. Okay. So we do this. Let me get name set up then. Set score. That one. And we are now in finals territory. We've got this and we've got grand finals. That's all there is left. There might be a bracket reset. Anything's possible. But we've only got 2 to 3 more matches to go. And we are starting with our first. Beam Blaster will be taking on False King to see who gets the shot of revenge against Woomy. Starting things off. Both players is sticking with some pretty tried. Actually, no, Beamer's going with something a little different. It's not as tried as true as we generally see. But we've seen a lot of the Tri-Blast. I don't actually see Beamer running it too often. But you can't criticize the man for making this choice. It is such a good arm. Yeah, there's a reason why it's one of the few light arms that actually make it into the competitive meta, because it is so strong, it's so effective, it's so rewarding, and those explosions just do so much. Nice confirm off of that Sparky into that grab. That's 260 damage. Gets another 260. Beamer is just above critical. I think. Oh! Another 1-2. False King is just looking for one more hit to be able to take Beamer out. Just has to play it cool, play it safe, play it smart. Keep these boxing fists going. At this range, I don't think the Tri-Blast is working nearly as well as Beamer is hoping. Coupled with that toaster, it's just not enough pressure to take on these two gloves. That's a weakened shield. I could see a capitalization going on for it if Beamer really wants to. That shield break, actually, yeah. Go for the shield breaker, Beamer. Oh, he's gonna get the high ground as False King throws out his punches maybe just a little too soon and makes for an easy target, as Beamer will be able to take the point. Yeah, the previous high was 250, and so this Invitational is actually the highest recorded PR Invitational bracket at 251. So yeah, there is the most money on the line that has ever been on the line for one of these events today. Just a reminder, there is money that shows up for these arms events, so if you're looking to play some arms and you want to make some money, arms does have some money to it. You could make a few dollars. Nice rush here. Beamer gonna try to punish it. Takes 265 damage to the base instead. Still trying to find a way and trying to find a setup. He's looking for rush punishes again, and I will again say it is entirely detrimental because it's rewarding to be able to take away your opponent's rush, but at the same time, if you don't, then you don't use your rush. And then your opponent just has more rushes. That said, when you have gloves, you're safe to do whatever you want. A few seconds left on the clock. Oh, that was a good call, but unfortunately it was not enough. Beamer feels forced to throw out his next rush, and it will be, within the last few seconds, enough to connect. And that was an impossible scenario for False King to contend with, giving Beamer the first point. That said, while I might have this criticism, if you're just that good at neutral, it doesn't matter. Scrap ban, remove beach via on. Okay, we're good. Both players are ready to continue. And we'll be heading to DNA Lab for the next bout. God, a lot of people shared this tweet. Getting into it, we've got False King continue to stick with his tried and true. Beamer's managed to, at the very last second, twice make this Tri-Blast and Toaster work. He's got a plan. He's got something cooking at the back of his head. And he wants to be able, he wants that money. Now that there's money there, he really wants it. You honestly could not blame him, because that is a tasty prize. False King is looking to try to reclaim as much of that spent money as possible. Wants to be able to take these wins and make it to the grand finals and potentially even win. Because that means he gets a lot of the money back. So he gets to look good, he gets to look generous, while not having spent nearly as much as he actually did. Rush pressure coming in as False King trying to lock Beamer down. Struggling to really get much of anything. Beamer has a rush quickly charging up and will have it pretty much set to go very soon. Nice couple of cheeky hits, but that Tri-Blast knockdown will just give Beamer more room to continue to escape. This pillar already has damage. It's not going to last too much longer off of any hits. False King doesn't want to necessarily damage it because that can leave him vulnerable. It is at a final hit. Almost gets the grab, but the explosion is going to allow Beamer to safely escape. Last pillar will be taken down though, and there is nothing to be done. Beamer will triumphantly claim another point. Without any pillars to hide behind though, this might turn into a different story now. It's just a big open field with a little valley in the middle that can lead into some interesting interactions. Those stairs can actually cause some misplays where you just air dash as you're recovering, so both players will want to be careful about that. Just goes for the gold here. 305 damage off of that shock. 400 damage. That's a lot of damage. Tries to go for the confirm, but False Cane is pushed too far back. That just was not as true as Beamer was hoping. Which means that False Cane is now in a very good position as he's quickly building up another rush, beating away at Beamer's health. I don't know if he wants to go for the rush to close out this round and prevent the enrage, or if he's just going to try to play things safe and smart. Safely trying to box him back, eats another Tri-Blast. The distance is closing in pretty fast with only about a 15% health difference, I would say, maybe 20%. Out comes the rush, catches him in the air. This is not going to kill, but now it's Beamer's turn to come in on the offensive, looking to try to just close this down. I think that's a confirm, and he's going to take this one. Misses the finishing touch. He should have just went for the toaster, because False King now has the lead, but he does find one more Tri-Blast, just barely bringing it back through. So many of these are single hit differences. And False King is feeling the burn on each of these. Alright, so this might be it. We have not seen much Temple Grounds during this tournament, even with it just being like complete chance. Oh. If Beamer is able to take False Cane out here, he will be making his way to the Grand Finals for a rematch against Rumi. False King needs a full reverse sweep in order to take Beamer out now, as there is a clean 2-0 and Beamer's already started by building up a little bit of an advantage, holding some tempo ground and utilizing these pillars far more effectively than False Cane has been able to up to this point. False King, I feel like False King might actually have a better strategy if he just chooses. Oh, I forgot to do that. Yeah. He might have a better opportunity if he just chooses to take these pillars out as soon as possible, just so that Beamer does not have an opportunity to hide behind them. Because, especially with this Tri-Blast, Beamer is having a much more effective time punishing these pillar situations. Tries to go for another setup. Almost got punished, but False Cane dashed into the rush and ends up losing his as a result. That was unfortunate and painful to see. He had a chance to capitalize on it and just could not pull it through. Chooses to try to grind rush as much as possible as a result. And now we are on match point. Beamer just needs one more win. If Beamer gets this, he'll be walking away as a Grand Final finalist. And False King will have to settle in for third, only getting a tenth of his profits. And an excellent Blast Confirmed entrance quickly takes away 2/3 of False King's health. Beamer has yet to take a single impact. The final pillar finally down. This might be False King's chance, but he's only got 25% health. Nay, he does not have any health to work with. Any charged hit will be lethal. Does manage to get 265 damage, but that's not going to be enough. And that final lethal blow will allow Beamer to, at the very least, cement himself a second position, if not a shot at first. Which means that it is time for us to head to Grand Finals. Umi has joined back in on the lobby. And is looking to see if he can claim that first point. He's going to have to fight for his life though, because Beamer's hungering for $100. If he takes first place, he gets 60% of this $251. That's like $150 right there. If you want to make that money bigger for these two players, you can donate to this link. You want to see Woomy have a chance at making like more than $150 off this tournament? Donate some money to the Matcherino. You never know. As usual, players would greatly appreciate it. Any and all donations would make a huge difference. Yeah, let's hear it, chat. Who do you want to win? From my experience and knowledge of these players, I would actually still say Beamer is favored to win this. Oh, I need to turn off VIA. They almost got VIA. There we go. That's better. I would actually put my expectations on Beamer to take this, but it looks like a lot of you want to see Woomy as this season's champion. There's only one way to figure out who is going to be our who's going to be the victor? Who is Amzu of 2021 Season 8? Will it be Woomy? Will it be Beamer? The match begins. Woomy throwing out buff after buff. Barrage of this just oppressive power. Nice, excellent grab. Gets another 150 damage. Quickly taking Beamer down within the first 30 seconds to 50% health. That's a weakened shield. These players do not capitalize on weakened shields enough. Nice 135 damage. Beamer tries to evade it. And a nice call on Woomy to utilize that rush before Beamer had his prepared to force him to have to go on the offensive with his call. He does get 320 damage though, which is going to give him a chance to start shifting the tempo. Trying to just survive, gets knocked down. We do have Enrage though, which means that Beamer is going to have an easier time contending, but that's going to set him to Magic Pixel. And Woomy has another rush at the ready. Well timed, well aimed punches, making sure that they line up together will make sure that Woomy has a much easier time closing this out. You can see Beamer is so focused on dodging. He's throwing out these punches, but he's more focused on trying to stay out of harm's way. But unfortunately, when you have no health, doesn't matter how careful you are, you're gonna get hit eventually. Both players dive into their next round. Woomy going to be the first to connect a blow and throws out the rush. This is going to be advantage to Beamer though, who leaps right over the attack. 280 damage. And sets himself up on even footing. Has to continue to play this so carefully, so methodically. Something nice about these toasters though is even though Woomy has a much easier time throwing out punch after punch to charge up that rush, anytime Beamer lands a charged hit, it actually takes away from Wumi's rush meter. Which means that because of that, like, it takes a little bit longer for Wumi to be able to charge up a rush of their own. He's just gonna go for the confirm here. Excellent catch out of the air. And that's going to be a balanced score of 1 apiece. Starting things off, we're going to have Beamer quickly opening up with a charged hit. Out comes the rush. He is going to dodge as much as possible, only eating 130 damage. You saw that clean jump and movement. Wumi is determined to get another rush ready. Buffs going wild all over the place as he is just looking to try to charge that up. He's less focused on fighting Beamer and he's more focused on just having rush. It's just, there's a positive advantage of buffs just naturally let you fight your opponent even if you're not focused on fighting them, because they have such good homing, such excellent boxing, that you can just like play your own game without worry and still be perfectly safe. Nice call for the rush, but Beamer gonna leap over once again. 290 damage, closing in the distance. He wants to be able to take this out as soon as he can, because the more room, the more time he gives to Wumi, the more likely that there is going to be another rush in the wakes. Nice 130. 25 seconds left on the clock. There's a solid possibility we will have one more rush from either or both of these players. 15 seconds left. Wumi still has a notable lead. Just needs to time him out or get that one more buff. Excellent angle, solid setup, and Wumi will claim the first point. Just a reminder for those curious as well, Wumi needs to win one match, one best of 5. If they are able to do that, the tournament is theirs. Beam Blaster has to win this match, this best of 5, and on top of that, another on top. Like one more beyond to be able to get the chance. Let's see. Starters for all stages minus scrap. I'm just gonna verify. On what? Yeah, I'm thinking it's alright, we'll leave it like that. Yep, and we'll be heading straight back into sparring ring. So yeah, Beam's got a huge hill to climb, but it's Beam Blaster. I can see him definitely doing this. Wumi's definitely in a good position as well though, and especially claiming that first point, that is some nice tempo. That's a lot more wiggle room. That's a lot more opportunity to be able to just carry things ahead. We are going to be switching over to the popper to contend. Nice movement and manages even disarm to punish Wumi with some fantastic boxing. Wumi's going to be the first to be ready with a rush. Looking for a chance just to dive in and throw out that flurry. Especially now that Beam Blaster or Beamer only has a single glove, it might be a lot easier for Beam or Wumi to be able to punish the rush attempt. Oh, he's going to go for the win confirm, and he's going to be able to connect it, just barely getting that 290 off of the maximum range from that toaster. Out comes Wumi's rush. Beamer could have probably blocked that, but dashing actually slowed the time it took for him to get that shield out. Trying too hard to get that block meant he ate it. That's it. Only needs one more hit, and he's going to be able to claim this point. Wumi going to change things up, and we have the shutdown, the oppressive Wolverine claws coming back once more. Just looking to suffocate all of Beamer's options. Just those white arms just flying everywhere. Great charge, great uncharge, just a great choice in general. Beamer might need to be a little more aggressive this time around. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to find a good amount of damage, or if he can get a good win confirmed like Dax. That knockdown is going to signify Wumi's chance to try to close in the distance. Throws out. That was such an open rush. There was no way that was going to catch Beamer. Which was just so unfortunate for him. As Beamer cleanly walks away. And he's quickly building up another rush. Puts Wumi in the corner. There's very little room for him to be able to work with here. And this is probably going to be Beamer's round. As all he needs is to either get a rush or just get a couple good calls. 25 seconds left on the clock. Beamer really does not need to be on the offensive. Maybe not. Maybe he needs to. Because he's getting shut down pretty hard here. Goes for the block, and we finally see the shield breaker as Beamer just not sure of what to do in the situation. He gets that shield chewed through. He does have rush advantage going into this next round at least. But he's got to capitalize on it, and getting chewed through like that is not that way to solve that situation. Backs up, and Wumi jumps into the air. Once again, maximum range, 215 damage off of that rush. That's a charged toaster. Wumi at half health. Another charged toaster is slowing down that rush generation. It's allowed Beamer to catch up with rush. Quickly beaming in that chip damage on the shield, weakening it ever so much more. The hopper is continuing to cause more and more trouble with the longer it's on the field. Popper's constantly almost connecting, but Wumi just managing to get those stray hits. That grab is going to be their loss. The score is turned to 1 apiece. And I forgot to change the thing again. Chug the beverage to keep the throat good. And we'll just keep it like this. Alright, so we are going to be going somewhere else that is not sparring ring this time. Mausoleum. It's going to be a lot more room and a lot more open-ended for Wumi. Which means that I'm pretty sure, like, last time we saw this, this was a good stage for Wumi, as it allowed them to safely escape and stay out of harm's way. It's a lot harder to get cornered here. The Popper's not as effective at getting win confirms. Like, it's still very easy, and it's still very possible, but it's not as easy as sparring ring. You can't just confidently pull it off any time you got a charge hit. Nice try blast. Wumi needs to kind of close in and just throw out more attacks. That's too much distance. It's just going to be a clean shield. No shield break either. I could actually see Wumi making a really interesting choice by going on the offensive and losing a couple of hits just to weaken that platform. If Wumi got hit by like a charged toaster twice on that platform, all of a sudden Beamer's like way to win is gone. Because there's still a chance for Beamer here if they start closing in on the distance. Not close enough. Good block from Wumi. Tries to go in for a response. That will break. He is still alive, but the Tri-Blast curves will be good enough. And he's going to be able to slip by the toaster. Beamer not going to be able to survive that, and he point goes to Wumi. Solid charged toaster allows Beamer to start this round with more tempo. And that center platform still being alive and healthy because Beamer is being... Like, if Beamer is on there, he's being careful to make sure that he is not getting knocked down. I spoke too soon. We got our first bit of damage. If that happens again, he is going to lose, like, one of his There it is! He is going to have an immeasurably more difficult time with this match. He does have the health lead, though. And if he can get a good rush, or he can get a popper like that, that just means that now Rumi has to try to approach somehow. But even with that platform, before that platform, Rumi was just not really approaching. But now because he's getting these trades, I guess this is punishing Rumi a little bit more. We'll have to see how the next round goes, but I genuinely am surprised to see that Rumi is actually struggling here. I think it's just because, like, Beamer won those few trades and now Rumi just has no options. If we go into the next round and Rumi is able to keep off that pressure, this might be an easy point for them, but it's all on, like, how they're able to keep this pressure, how they're able to push these Wolverine claws and, like, keep Blaster from, like, closing in this distance. Nice dodge there. Just trying to keep this spray, this coverage, just preventing Blaster Beamer from getting as close as possible. Just pushing him back more often than not. That seems to be more of the priority. I do want to see them go for this. Nice catch! 180 damage. It's not too much, but it does mean that he's got the lead. And now Beamer has to do that kind of stuff. And if he does it wrong, then that means that Rumi can very likely build up a further lead. Couple of nice trades. Beamer's starting to find his way in. And that, like, that little bit of distance that he's getting to close in is allowing him to win these trades. 44 seconds left on the clock. Rumi needs to get another rush at the ready. Beamer has yet to use a single one. These poppers still just presenting a tremendous amount of threats. Pushes him back further. 25 seconds left on the clock. Rumi has to do something risky. He gets that damage. He's closing in. Go for the shield breaker. He needs the shield breaker. He's taking too long. He does get a little bit more damage. I just want to see him eat that. Nice dodge. Beamer going to go for another as well. Gets shield broken. I think that's good. That's good. Rumi just needs to stay out of harm's way. He gets toasted at the last second. Yeah. 2-1 for Beam Blaster. He was so close, just barely whiffing it. I feel like that was one of those cases where it's like, if he made the investment, if he made the call or was just a little more confident in going for the shield break at some point, he might have been able to take Beamer out and have more damage on him. But, like, that might have been too much hesitation. Heading to our next match, we're going to Buster Beach. If Beamer is able to take this, we will have that reset happen. And that will mean one more best of 5 to see who is the champion of this season. Rumi needs to be able to win this and one more on top to deny that bracket reset. Buster Beach is definitely looking to be a little more favorable, as that center platform is just immediately making it more difficult for Beamer to be able to approach, and that Hot Pocket doing what the Hot Pocket does, and just causing that Beamer to be in that lower position that's just causing him too much trouble. Beamer trying to position himself to force Rumi out of the high ground. Rumi is so determined to not lose that position, though. Nice call for the rush. Beamer is not going to be able to respond. 300 damage. Rumi's still trying to keep that little bit of distance. Social distancing. We're still in a pandemic. Nice patient wait with the block as Beamer whiffs his grab attempt. Oh, the blast is going to save his hide. 10 seconds left on the clock. Rumi needs to just get, like, not hit. If he could, like, I think he can get hit once, actually. As long as it's not the grab. Actually, no, the grab was enough. He's good. He's good. He got the point. That was like 5 points difference. Oh god, yeah, he started on the high ground, which means that Beamer has the advantage now. And you can see Rumi is trying to create that high ground and like recreate that scenario, but he has to contend with the fact that he started on that lower point. And it's working out really well as Beamer is trying to just cement this position. But now that Rumi is in the low ground, in that ditch, it is going to be significantly more difficult for him. He does have that second round though. I think this is a misplay. As much as I've been telling Beamer to go for Rushmore, I think that was a misplay. Because he might need the rush for when Beamer is like in advantage. Because we're going to be going into this next round where Beamer is going to have the high ground. If he can get rush ready in time, I think he's about even with Rumi. So it might have paid off. But Rumi now has that wall again, and Beamer needs to force Rumi out of that corner if he wants to win. The downside is every time that popper hits, as good as that knockback is, it's forcing Rumi back into the high ground and forces Beamer to stay on the low ground. So while it's doing some of his biggest damage, it's also putting a bit of a detriment to Beamer's strategy and play. The stage is... The fact that Rumi started on that back wall is such a huge positive. Rumi at 50% health, gonna go for the rush here. It's going to be... Oh, that was a weird interaction. Little bit of witchcraft. We have a little bit of witchcraft in our matches. Beamer trying to push him back up, looking to try to reassert this high ground. Because if he can get Rumi pushed back. Rumi is going back! He went back just a little bit, but that he is going to be able to try to take things back under his control. Still holding on just barely at 25% health. Beamer, full rush ready at his disposal. 25 seconds left out the clock. He's going to try to go for the confirm, but that was too much range. Rumi has to approach. Beamer clearly knows this. He's going to try to play this patiently. Ooh, that was a nice grab confirm attempt, but ended up whiffing the aim. I don't think there's anything Rumi can do here, and that means that we have ourselves a bracket reset. Things are back clean and clear. That means Beamer's got the chance to be able to take this tournament now. All he's got to do is win one more best of 5. We'll turn off Mia. There we go. Rumi has to take this one now. And this is Beamer we're talking about. And this is what I was talking about when I said I see Beamer as the champion at the very start. He is incredibly good at this game. He's played for years, and he continues to play. Like, he knows the ins and outs of this. We've got another good advantage. Rumi is starting with the high ground. He needs to be able to keep it though, but unfortunately Beamer playing it patiently. He's just weaving around these gloves. The gloves weren't working the first time against this popper, and I'm not seeing them work again. Beamer has gotten into the groove. I think he's read Rumi out. Rumi has this best of 5 to figure out what Beamer is doing and how to counter it. His playstyle is getting too much into a pattern, and Beamer is calling out these patterns, these cycles. Sees a nice rush confirm. He is going to get 235 damage. Rumi now back into the corner, set to low ground. He's going to throw out a quick rush, but the pillar is going to save Beamer. Rumi still has that high ground, but if he's not able to make that high ground work for him, there's not much it can do. One more hit. Rumi now at Magic Pixel. Beamer just needs anything, and it's going to be one more shotgun blast. Woomy going back in with the Wolverine claws. I feel like this is definitely better than the buffs. I feel like there might be a better loadout that Woomy can go with. 1-2 might actually be possible. But like, he's got to figure out something quick because it's very... The longer this is going, the more clear that Beamer has pieced this puzzle together. That's a nice double disarm. Woomy gonna get 150 damage plus the shield break. So that equates to like a pretty light rush at the very least. Some good payoff off of that. But yeah, he really needs to start cooking up how to contend with this Popper because he keeps getting caught out. He keeps getting knocked out. At the rate he's going, there is little chance that he is going to survive. If you want to see Woomy win this, he needs all of the energy. You gotta give him more energy. Can we get the blessed positioning? Can he start with the high ground again? He needs that high ground. He starts with the high ground. He has so much more of a chance with this positioning than if he started on the low ground. This is that little bit of asymmetrical RNG that he needs. But he still has to make this work. He still has to push this through. If he wants to be able to take this nice successful hit against Beamer, needs to keep this pressure going. He needs to lock Beamer into that hot pocket, needs to stay in the ditch. Because once Beamer starts getting up close, once he starts having Woomy backed against the wall, Woomy can do a little bit more because it's even ground, but it's still a wall and it's still dicey to roll against. This is nice positioning. This is good. He ends up eating another toaster. This match is just not working out for him. He's getting read out. Beamer nicely utilizing the space, that little bit of room that he had still. As Woomy just continues to throw a flurry of attacks. Beamer is just focused on timing him out at this point. Recognizing that Woomy was just like not wanting to get close enough. Each of these blocks pushing Woomy back just that little bit more, forcing him to have to stay on the offensive, and it's just so difficult for this Helix. My throat is like destroyed. 10 seconds left, and Beamer gonna be able to claim the point. Woomy now has to take a win in a disadvantaged position, and I forgot to do this again. Out comes the rush. He's going in with the buffs once more. He's trying to mix between these two weapons, these two loadouts, and like counter them. He gets a nice punish on the rush. But now he needs to stay out of the hot pocket. He especially needs to stay out of that corner. Because as soon as, like what we saw last time, as soon as he's there, he loses all of his movement options. And it is very much a fight for survival this entire time. Not only has Beamer adapted to that set, he's adapted to Woomy and Helix. Like, he has figured out, like, he has spent so much time playing against Helix during these matches that he now he's comfortable. He knows how to play against this Helix. He's playing patiently. He's not making any too drastic of a misplay, and he's just capitalizing. I think the game's over. I think the game ended, like, that last match. Like, Beamer now 2-0 against Woomy. He's looking for one more. Will this be it? Will this be the chance that Woomy is able to turn the tides? He needs to figure out what's going on. Maybe he needs to bring out Kid Cobra. Maybe he needs to bring out Ninjara. If I'm not was it the Ninjara that he used against Beamer? before in winners finals. Helix has definitely been read out. He's got to bring out the different character. He starts with the high ground again, but he's quickly pushed back against the wall. Beamer just tried to wall him out with this Coolerang Toaster combo. It is causing Umi just so much trouble. Tri-Blast Toaster still doing a pretty solid job on its own though, as Beamer has a light chunk of damage to his name. As he is just eating some of these stray hits. It's a little bit harder for Beamer to dodge as there's a lot more focus, there's a lot more aim. Nice block, doesn't go for anything too risky, doesn't go for the rush in that situation, just recognizing that if they chose to do that there, Beamer had so much advantage, so much ground that it would have been a clean punish. I think this mix-up was just not soon enough. Nice rush though! 290 damage, Beamer is at 300 health. Wumi needs a good few trades to be able to bring this back, or to survive and get another rush ready, but without the Helix, I'm not sure they'll be able to get that rush ready in time. As one more Toaster closes that mark, and we are now at tournament point. I think the Ninjaro is a good call, but like, is it too late? Does Wumi not have the time to warm up to this character? Quickly throwing out these punches. Wumi is looking for rush generation, looking for that option, but ends up throwing out one too many punches. 355 blocks them in the pocket. Deep in that corner, nowhere to go. Beamer recognizing that that rush was likely coming back off. Definitely a wise call. Out comes this rush, but it's going to be punished. Beamer again holding a lead, a nice 1-2 with the Coolerang. Wumi just cannot keep up and is now in critical health. A rush from Beamer will end this story. Anything now will be the end of this fight, and it's going to be a lockdown rush. Wumi did everything possible, utilized his last emergency backup, but unfortunately, even trading with that rush was not enough. And Springman will be crowned your champion. As Beamer is now the winner of Season 8's ARMS NA Online Invitational. Congratulations to everybody who made it as far as they did. Congratulations to Beamer for taking first. Congrats to Wumi for second. False King for third. Frosty fourth. And so on and so forth to all of our competitors who put their all in. Impeccable job. Great games. Great plays. Big proud of all.